On November 22, 1963, President John F. Kennedy was shot in Dallas, Texas. He was shot at 3 times but was only shot twice, once in the neck and once in the head, and was pronounced dead not much later. When JFK got his autopsy, he was declared dead before he even got to the hospital. A shot to the head was the cause of death. One doctor said that there is no way of any hope of saving his life. JFK's death was officially announced at 1:30 p.m. The person next to him in the limousine, Governor Cawley, underwent 2 operations that day. As JFK was assassinated, there was massive confusion. There is currently tension with the Soviet Union, and many Americans thought that the Soviets may be attacking. It was also initially reported that Vice President Lyndon B. Johnson had also been killed too. The news shocked the entire world. Many people gathered in public places to view the news and pray. NBC and ABC News reported that about 120% more people started watching 40 minutes after the assassination. Many bands, such as the British heavy metal band Saxon, made songs to remember JFK. A few days after the assassination, JFK's coffin was carried on horse and buggy to the Capitol. Throughout the day and night, many people lined up to view the casket. While JFK's body was being rushed to the hospital, many people started to plan his funeral. Lyndon B. Johnson, the new president, declared a national day of mourning and declared for most people to take off work. At his funeral, the government included many Navy and World War II memorabilia. While people viewed the casket, the government planned an official casket ceremony. Unlike the previous ceremony, the new one honored many of Mrs. Kennedy's requests. Many new bands, such as the Marine Band, played in honor of JFK. The Scottish Black Watch also played. About 1 million people attended the new ceremony bearing very cold and harsh conditions. NBC, CBS, and ABC had 24-hour uninterrupted coverage. They each needed about 50 cameras to cover it. It began at 10 a.m. and was meant to end at 8 p.m., but there were so many people that the government officials let them say a couple more hours. Lee Harvey Oswald is the person that allegedly killed John F. Kennedy. There's a lot of evidence against Oswald. First off, Oswald was a former Marine and could handle a gun very effectively. Because of this, it is speculated that Oswald could have easily shot him from far away. Secondly, Oswald had a shady and troubled past. In October 1959, Oswald wanted to travel and live in the Soviet Union. Oswald sent a bogus application to become a student, but it was denied. Horrified, Oswald slit massive wounds in his arm and wrist and was later transported to the psychiatric hospital. On October 31, 1959, Oswald appeared at the United States Embassy in Russia and denounced his United States citizenship, and also denounced that he hated the United States and declared himself a Russian. Lee Harvey Oswald also killed another man. J.D. Tippit was a police officer who was working beat number 78 in his designated patrol area. At 1 p.m., around 20 minutes after the assassination of JFK, Tippit was ordered to move to Central Oak Cliff as part of a massing of police officers around the city limits. About 1:10 p.m., Tippit was slowly driving there when he pulled over somebody who looked like the description of Lee Harvey Oswald. Oswald walked over to Tippit's car and a heated exchange began. As Tippit got out, Oswald fired 3 shots at Tippit and killed him. There were about 12 people to witness Tippit's murder. Many people saw Tippit standing by his police car and another man in a fight with Tippit. Witnesses say the other man, Lee Harvey Oswald, pulled a gun and killed Tippit. The gunman disappeared but was seen by many people, and they say that he matches the description of Lee Harvey Oswald. After Tippit's assassination, Lyndon B. Johnson called the Tippit family and expressed his apologies. JFK's wife also wrote a letter to Tippit's family and expressed her apologies and the bond that they both share. The nation was moved by Tippit's death, and a nationwide charity was started for Tippit's poor family. About $4.5 million by today's standards was collected. In January 1964, Tippit was awarded the Medal of Valor from the Police Hall of Fame and also received many other prestigious police awards. After Oswald was arrested, the Dallas Police Department contained him. Oswald was questioned for about 15 hours on November 22nd. During the interrogation, Oswald denied all involvement. Nothing in the investigation was recorded. Through many tests, Dallas Police Department could tell that he may have fired a weapon, but it was unreliable. Oswald said little to nothing of importance throughout the entire interrogation. Many other people were injured in the assassination of JFK as well. Governor Connolly, who was riding in the same limousine as JFK, was critically injured with a wound to the chest. JFK's wife pulled him onto his lap, closing the chest wound and effectively saving his life. Also, James Tague, who received wounds to the face and chest while viewing JFK. He was hit by a ricocheted bullet. When pressured by the Warren Commission, he said that he was hit by the second shot. After the assassination, the FBI immediately launched an investigation. Only 17 days later, the FBI reported that only 3 shots were fired. Most other commissions and investigators agreed with this. The FBI said that the first shot hit JFK, the second hit Connolly, and the third hit JFK in the head, which killed him. The U.S. President's Commission on CIA Activities in the U.S. was ordered to investigate the Kennedy assassination. They focused on the ballistics of the bullet and where it struck JFK's head, and why certain suspects were not even looked at. It later reported that the suspects had alibis and were not present in Dallas at the time of the JFK assassination. The HSCA, or United States House of Representatives Select Committee on Assassinations, investigated the assassination as well. The HSCA were well qualified and investigated many other assassinations, such as Martin Luther King Jr.'s and George Wallace's assassination. The committee's final report said that JFK was very, very likely to be a victim of a conspiracy. However, the committee's theories were much different from most other people's conspiracies. They acted in secret and then issued a public report but did not report the evidence. A court order was passed to see the evidence. The United States Senate Select Committee to study general operations with respect to intelligence activities, or Church Committee, also helped investigate. Along with many other private investigators and commissions, the Church Committee concluded that the investigation on the assassination of JFK by both the FBI and CIA were conducted wrong. They said this because questionable people were in charge of both agencies, and there is a hint that both agencies made conscious decisions not to disclose important information. To decide who murdered John F. Kennedy, the Warren Commission, or the President's Commission on the Assassination of President Kennedy, was established. The full commission consisted of 35 members, but only 7 were on the main commission. Not much is known about the commission's method because all members were sworn to secrecy and met in private. On November 9, 1963, the commission sent an 888-page report to President Lyndon B. Johnson and concluded that Lee Harvey Oswald was the man that killed John F. Kennedy. This report was made public 3 days later. The commission's findings were said to significantly influence the FBI's investigation. Many years later, the commission has been severely chastised and criticized for glaring omissions and other errors. One of the errors is that the commissioners barely listened to any witness testimonies in full. Jack Ruby was a nightclub operator in Dallas. On November 23, 1963, Ruby killed Lee Harvey Oswald. News footage from NBC and other local stations shows Ruby impersonating a newspaper reporter while Oswald was being transported, pulling a gun and killing him. Some speculate that Ruby may have been planning this since Oswald was accused of the murder. Ruby told the FBI a month later that he had loaded his snub-nosed Colt Cobra .38 revolver and killed Oswald. The trial of Jack Ruby was covered a massive amount. Jack Ruby was represented by Melvin Belli. Belli requested that the trial be moved out of Texas because it was impossible to get a fair trial because of the publicity. This request was denied. Belli attempted to prove that Jack Ruby was mentally insane due to a mental illness being common in the Ruby family. On March 14, 1964, Ruby was convicted of murder with malice and got the death sentence and sentenced to death row, but he was killed by lung cancer before he was killed on death row. Ruby appealed the sentence. The Texas Court of Criminal Appeals ruled on October 5, 1966, that a change of venue motion should have been granted and a failed trial was impossible and overturned his conviction. They ruled that a trial take place in a different location, but he was killed before this could happen.